The Mercedes-Benz Museum is renowned for its impressive architecture and vast collection of over 160 vehicles spread across 16,500 square meters. This space is organized into 9 levels arranged like a double helix similar to that of DNA. It's not just about telling the story of Mercedes but also the history and evolution of the automobile itself, spanning nearly 150 years. Starting with Carl Benz's invention patented under number 37432 on January 29, 1886, which marked the beginning of the automotive industry. In this article we will explore some notable pieces from this museum. The evolution of Mercedes history. By 1908, Mercedes already embodied luxury sedans, a characteristic that remains today after 117 years. The 75 horsepower stood out as the first production model by the brand, featuring an inline 6-cylinder engine with impressive capacity of 10.1 liters. Its design was called double phaeton, derived from old carriages, reflecting the influence of Art Deco design capable of reaching high speeds on newly opened autobahns during the 30s. During this period, many brands launched cars with streamlined shapes reminiscent of droplets, such as the 320 Mercedes-Benz limousine. This phase saw the creation of some of the most elegant and iconic designs in industrial history, including the Bugatti Type 57 Atalante. Moving on to 1968, inspired by Carroll Shelby, Daimler created a factory-made hot rod. They used the massive V8 MC100 engine previously seen in Mercedes-Benz W100 models and installed it in a W108 sedan, giving birth to the 300 SEL 6.3. predecessor of today's S63 AMG. This moment marked the start of the legendary half-3 V8 engines tradition, carried forward 40 years later by the famous naturally aspirated V8 M156 found in Mercedes AMGs between 2006 and 2015. From 1976 to 86, more than 2,700,000 units of the W123 were produced. This model evolved the concept of its predecessor W114 and solidified the foundations of what we know today as modern Mercedes-Benz. For example, the 300T D-Wagon came equipped with accessories and travel items typical of a prosperous West German family. Innovations and automotive legends. In the 50s, Mercedes proposed an idea considered absurd: a truck powered by a racing car engine. The Rennwagen Schnelltransporter was driven by the M186 3-liter engine, the same used in the legendary W194, a racing car precursor of the iconic 300 SL Gullwing and the 300S. This truck shared parts of its bodywork with those vehicles. The M186, used in the utility vehicle, prioritized torque in its configuration, offering slightly less power. However, with 190 to 322 horsepower, it could reach 170 km per hour, carrying a 300 SLR. The focus on aerodynamics and prominent front-wheel bias was notable. The driver sat ahead of the front axle, a practice considered risky by future safety standards. The original transporter has been lost, but the museum houses a faithful replica, reconstructed from technical documents. Mercedes is discreet about it, but the Austrian postal bus, named 10,000, seems to be a military vehicle, possibly an adaptation of the L1000 trucks from World War II. There's a certain aesthetic pattern in the 10,000 buses, a kind of hyperdimensional characteristic. The gullwing doors of the 300 SL Coupe came from a functional need, not just aesthetic appeal. Under its beautiful bodywork, designed by Friedrich Geiger, lies a triangular tubular structure similar to that of the W194 racing car. This configuration was adopted to allow access to the interior, as traditional doors would significantly reduce entry space. Despite its appearance as a luxury Grand Tourer, the 300 SL, in reality, is a race car homologated for the streets, comparable to the Ferrari F40 of the 50s, but without air conditioning. In 1957, Mercedes introduced a roadster version of the 300 SL, visibly more accessible. Structural changes were necessary to accommodate doors with normal opening, a sacrifice that reduced torsional rigidity and added a trunk, non-existent in the coupe. The 300 SLR Coupe, with a tubular structure and 8 cylinders in line, reached 302 horsepower at 7,500 revolutions per minute, approaching 300 kilometers per hour. It was an exceptional racing car, prevented from demonstrating its potential on the tracks by a tragedy. Developed for the 1956 Sports Car Championship, it evolved from the Rose C300 SLR that Sterling Moss and Dennis Jenkinson drove to victory in the 1955 Mille Miglia, now with a more aerodynamic coupe bodywork and various technical advances. The infamous disaster that struck during the 24 Hours of Le Mans race in 1955 led to Mercedes-Benz suspending their racing activities for several decades. Consequently, the 300 SLR from 1956 never saw any competition despite 2 units being ready. These vehicles were utilized by Rudolf Uhlenhaut, director of competitions at Mercedes-Benz, leading to them earning the nickname Uhlenhaut Coupe. In May of 2022, one such unit was sold at an auction for an astounding sum of €135 million, making it the most expensive car in history. Another highly valued model from Mercedes-Benz is the W113, which succeeded the concept introduced by the roadster version of the 300 SL, known for its gull-wing doors. However, this time, it was reborn as a touring car, devoid of the complexities of a racing vehicle. Its design, simple and practical, reflects the early 1960s. The nickname Pagoda was inspired by the optional hardtop, which resembled the shape of Asian temples. The 1990s marked a magical period for Mercedes, characterized by the fusion of German superengineering with the official integration of AMG into the company in 1999. This era was also notable for a design that blended classic and modern elements. One of the most remarkable products of this time was the C32 AMG Touring. This car, in particular, served as the medical vehicle for Formula One from 2001 to 2003. The changes that Formula One underwent over 4 decades are remarkable. The McLaren Mercedes MP4-14 from 1999, equipped with a 10-cylinder V engine capable of 800 horsepower and 17,600 RPM, is an icon of this era. It stands out for its use of exotic materials, from the beryllium pistons to the carbon fiber monocoque. The W196R dominated the championships of 54 and 55. With an 8-cylinder inline engine and central front positioning, this car had unique features such as drum brakes and a tubular steel structure. It also boasted a large exposed fuel tank of nearly 200 liters and a raised driving position. The 2 models shared perhaps only the quick change wheel hub system and the silver color. Speaking of color, it was the silver that earned Mercedes-Benz the nickname Silver Arrows. This name celebrates the brand's dominance in motorsports between the 30s and 50s, as well as the national color of German teams in international competitions.